Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to my channel. My name is Brittany Simon. We do philosophy through pop culture and we're using real people's lives to learn about our own. In this video, we are reviewing Love is Blind UK Season 2, The Reunion. Wow, they're doing a photo booth opening, which is a callback to Javin and Katisha.
I have never had someone love me for me.
I had my doubts, but now I'm certain.
Out with the lies!
I didn't honestly think it would turn out like this.
Well, let me just say everyone looks really good. And some people definitely look, you know, this always happens at a reunion. Some people either look way hotter or not so much, but people look good. Some people really look good.
Cal doesn't wear matching Christmas pajamas, but
So I've been rolled into it, but I'll allow it because it is pretty funny.
Guys, update us. How's the first year of married life been?
What married life? What married life?
What is going on? I am shooketh with that response. He also looks very skinny to me, like he's lost a lot of weight. Not a good sign. Maybe stress.
Who basically, I thought made me feel seen, made me feel heard, made me feel loved. And 3 months later, he walked away.
What? Oh no. You guys told me this season was crazy and the men were crazy, but I wasn't understanding. I guess this is why. What?
If I'm going to be honest, I thought we were going strength to strength. He was integrated in my family. The magical Christmas I spoke about, I had that. It was me, my sisters, him. It felt like this was it. This was us walking into 2025. 2nd of January, he turned around and just said to me, very coldly, by the way, no emotion whatsoever, not an ounce of anything, that
It's so interesting. He's just, you know, he's letting her talk. But at the same time, what?
it's over.
What?
And he's made the decision for both of us.
Oh.
He did give me 3 reasons. The first one was there was no spark.
Oh.
The second one was we're very different people. And the third one is I'm more emotional and affectionate.
My brain is blown. I'm literally so shook. What? His demeanor here is so confusing to me as well.
And that's that.
So, Cal, what's your take on it? What happened? What went wrong? When
Nothing. That's the hard thing. Nothing went wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. She was a good wife. We're just not right for each other.
There's got to have been something.
So she's a good wife, but we're not right for each other. And they're saying there has to be something. Well, again, 2 good people together doesn't mean they're compatible. So the question is, if you realize this in January, what did you realize in January that you couldn't realize before January? That's probably a better question.
You don't just kind of go, you're a great wife, but we're just not right for each other.
Well, you do, though. You can have a person who's a great wife and you're still not compatible. That's the misconception everyone's been dealing with for thousands of years, is y'all keep thinking just because they're great wives or great people that's what it makes a marriage, but it obviously isn't. So the question is, what did you discover in January that you didn't know before?
I think
is it not something
About himself, by the way. I'm asking, what did he discover about himself, his own realization, not what did he discover about her?
We had some disagreements on the honeymoon. That was on the last day before.
That was in October, by the way, guys.
Oh, sorry for booking your 5-star honeymoon off my own back.
Oh, now it's like, sorry, I booked you a 5-star hotel off my own income. Remember that they're both co-owners of businesses, right? He's a gym owner. I think she's in pharmaceuticals or plastics or something. I don't remember. Something to do with the environment, I think. It's something. Ooh, this is so weird already.
We fell out on the last day of the honeymoon, and the reason we fell out was intimacy.
Intimacy.
So physical and emotional. You wanted more from me. I couldn't give more.
Oh.
That's so wrong.
Why do you feel like you couldn't give more, Cal?
Because I already thought I was giving enough. Look, when you've seen the show, I'm not as lovey-dovey PD as the other guys, and that's just the way I am. And you knew I was like that. And we tried to meet in the middle, and we did come to agreement.
Oh my God, is that Barda? Oh my God, she looks so different. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Now, his brother did say, I don't see my brother being ready for marriage, and maybe this is what he meant.
Because it was
No, seriously, why did you marry me then?
Because it was everything I wanted in that moment.
But you
In that
saw
moment.
what my physical, like the love language was, holding hands, or you knew all that.
First of all, thank you for taking me into your family. You really made me feel welcome, treat me like a son, and I couldn't have asked for better in-laws, and sorry for letting you all down.
Heartbreaking and devastating. Watching my daughter being led down a path that was never genuine.
I disagree, respectfully.
So Cal being like, I'm not as emotional and affectionate, is actually the one who got swept into the whirlwind of things and was actually the one who overpromised and was actually the one who was more in his feelings because he said yes to start over based off of how he felt in the moment, but wasn't introspective enough to know how he'd feel in the future. He overpromised, and that's devastating. What a devastating thing to put somebody through. So he did know himself well enough to make this decision. Also, shout out to Freddie from UK season 1.
You gave her nothing. But in the pods, you spoke for hours to get to know each other. So you guys are good at communication. That's what I'm saying. I will never understand.
Yeah, I want him to explain what was it. There's a why. It doesn't have to be about Sarover. It's probably about him. It's 100% about him. But I wonder if he knows himself well enough to know the answer.
Give my side of that little bit at the end.
I don't need to know your
We don't
side
need
of
to,
that, Cal. I
But
don't.
you're saying I've given
No,
that side of the kind of how it ended.
I'm
But I was
sorry.
actually there, so.
Do you regret how you handled the end of the relationship?
And yeah, maybe I come out of it cold, and I do wish I'd have discussed it with you, but to me, that would have only, like, prolonged.
Cal, it was cold.
No, I know, still-
So it wasn't even a conversation. It wasn't a conversation. It wasn't like, hey, can we work through this? I'm feeling insecure. It was like, it's over. I don't get it. Like, why would he do that? Did he listen to an Andrew Tate podcast before breaking up with her? I don't get it. I don't get why he didn't converse with her, think about counseling, explain his fears. He just made the decision without her, which again, of course, he gets to make the decision without her in the technical sense. You know, you can't keep somebody married. But from the team perspective, you can't be a team and make I decisions. So it's kind of like, it's just so strange.
Cal, it was your decision.
But you don't usually
It was like I said, it
consult
was
on a
your
breakup.
marriage. It was your
You
life.
need to consult on a breakup.
Cal, can I finish?
We were
You don't usually consult on a breakup. Homie, you were married, homie. You were literally married. Again, I know for a lot of you who may be in abusive situations, obviously you wouldn't consult your abuser before divorcing them. But given the circumstance in this context, you would usually talk to your partner first.
Two people in a marriage.
Rover, do you mind if I ask, did you see the end coming?
Never. I ask you so often, like, is there anything we need to talk about? Is there anything you go,
Ooh, original couples from season 1. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited for season 1 possibilities here.
no, to the point, you were like, look, if there is anything, I will tell you.
Damn.
You never told me until the day you ended up.
So, okay, the reason I practice radical honesty in my marriage is for exactly this. Because when I was dating in my 20s, of course, I was coming to decisions about whether or not I would break up without consulting my partner at the time, because we weren't in a committed marriage. We were dating to see if we wanted to get married. But obviously, now that I'm married, the reason we practice radical honesty is to be there for each other to work out any kind of thoughts we might have, so we would never get to this situation. I don't want my partner torturing themselves for months on end about breaking up with me when we could be discussing it. But also, of course, I married somebody who, wouldn't be contemplating breaking up with me. You know what I mean? So like, again, we need to really have this conversation outside of abuse situations, because if you're not being abused, then you usually consult your partner. You're usually in a team effort, even through divorce. Even if divorce is on your mind, you usually talk to your partner about it. So it feels like really crazy that he went through all of this contemplation alone and decided, like, he was dating her. He treated her like a girlfriend. This isn't how you treat a person you decided to do life with.
Can I go back to that day?
Communication and compromise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
I do struggle with communication, but also the other half is I just don't think I'm compatible in a long-term relationship. And
Well, so he's saying he's not compatible in a long-term relationship. Yeah, he should deconstruct that and wonder why. It's not that everyone is made to be in a long-term relationship or even in short-term relationships. Plenty of people are happy single. The question is if he is in that category of person, why did he marry somebody? And does he understand how heartbreaking that is?
it took me to meet, like, on paper, the perfect woman to realise that. And it's probably, even like my brother, he knew it.
You saying that I wasn't ready for a long-term commitment, I have to say I respect that, but
Thank you.
you married me. That
That's fair
is a
enough.
long-term commitment, that's a legal commitment, and that is you committing your life to someone else jointly.
Well, but not forever. Like, he can get divorced. Like, I'm not anti-divorce. So I understand what she's saying from an emotional perspective, but you're not obligated to stay in a marriage that isn't fulfilling to you, even if it's hurtful, right?
I just wish you didn't take me down that long journey.
Exactly. Okay, Sarover. Yes, girl. I just wish he didn't overpromise to her.
That's
That
fair.
was always going to end.
He's always been that way, though. He has struggled with that. But at the same time, I think he saw what me and my other brother have and kind of yearned for it. I do believe he went in it with the greatest intentions, because the way I saw him, I'd never seen that side of him before. And Sarover, she is a brilliant girl. And if it isn't going to work with her, I don't think it will work with anyone else.
If it doesn't work with her, it won't work with anyone else. I don't know. There's something going on there. I don't know. That man needs to deconstruct something. He doesn't seem like a joyful person, Cal. He doesn't seem fulfilled in his sense of self. He doesn't know himself. To even say, oh, he sees what me and my brother have and he wants that, but he doesn't understand it enough to understand what he did to Sarover, makes me think like he needs a lot of deconstruction work, a lot of introspective work.
You've seen the episodes. You can't tell me that wasn't real. You can't fake that.
Maybe he was just swept up in the moment. He did seem so genuine. This should be such a wake-up call for him to go to major therapy. Like, how did I do all of this stuff just to like bail on it a few months later? Yeah, this should be a huge wake-up call for him.
Ask you that tonight. Were you actually in love with me?
100%.
But then what? That's the question where we all go back to, is what changed? And that's it, Cal. That's what it comes down to. And I know
Yeah, he's really struggling to answer that question. Look how important introspection is, huh? Isn't this just such a sign to you that you really got to know yourself in order to answer these very hard questions?
It's a tough question to answer.
And I'm never going to get closure because of that.
Well, hold up, girl. She said, I'm never going to get closure. No, the closure comes from you accepting that you're not in charge of him and what he thinks and has nothing to do with him. You can get closure that you met a person, we're in a relationship with them, they were on a journey. It doesn't make sense to any of us, but whatever his journey is, you were just a part of it. And it doesn't have to make sense to you for you to move on, right? Like at the end of the day, people do what people are going to do. Human's going to human, as we say in this channel, you know? And closure comes from us accepting that we can't control people and that we are here just to observe and experience our lives as it is.
You guys to us seemed like a surefire bet.
Yeah, they did. Okay. Everyone's a little different looking this season. Okay, everyone looks lovely as usual.
Jed showed me signs that were not compatible with the type of husband that I want.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm glad that I made the decision that I did.
You actually never revealed what would have been your answer at the altar.
It would have been an I do, but in the back of my mind, it should have been a no because I wasn't 100%. If you're not 100% into anything, you shouldn't do it. And things like that. And we were just still butting heads, so yeah, it comes to an end.
Okay. They tried, but they were still bickering, butting heads. That's why you don't want bickering or butting heads in your marriage. It's just not, you want peace and harmony. You want to feel relieved coming home. You don't want to feel ready for a fight.
Obviously, I've got my own take on that. I think the only person that was trying was me.
Oh.
And I think that was due to the guilt that I felt for hurting someone that I loved. And I think you saw that we spoke about that. I felt so guilty for having hurt you that I did a lot more than I should have. And in return, I think that probably pushed you away because you just needed space.
Yeah. So did you keep the ring on after the wedding as a symbol of love?
Yeah, so as a show of like my commitment, I said to Jed, I want to keep this on. Kind of regret doing that, if I'm completely honest, because that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And it pissed me off because I said, this is something that I'm doing for you. And it was because...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, that feels really silly to wear the ring and to be like, I'm doing this for you. I don't know how that's helpful to Jed to do that, right? Wait, hold on. What is she saying here?
his ex-girlfriend was in the room.
His ex-girlfriend?
Which I didn't know. So, you know, I gave it like 24 hours and I thought, well, screw this, I'm not wearing it then. Everything sort of stopped in that moment. We didn't talk about it.
Oh, okay, hold on. It's a crazy pause. My bad. Okay, hold on. Yeah. So were they just swooped up in the honeymoon phase, literally, and they weren't having deep, real conversations? Were they having like superficial conversations? Yeah, maybe, what happened with them?
Bear in mind, this is Essex. Everyone knows everyone in Essex. So I said to her, you don't have to take it off, but just spin it around, because if my ex saw it, all hell breaks loose.
Why?
Because you're not supposed to show that you're married and people ask questions. So I said, look, you don't mind, I know a few people in the gym. I didn't actually bring up to her that my ex was in the gym because I thought this is going to create more of a situation than it should have been.
Ooh, so he's omitting information, which in my marriage would be a lie. So in my marriage, we practice radical honesty. Not informing her would be a lie in my marriage. But okay, they're dating. They're not really married. But how silly and elementary. I'm sorry, the whole thing. Gonna keep wearing the ring even though you're not engaged. Gonna keep dating, but it's obviously weird. He's hiding the fact that they're still involved. All very immature, I think, on both ends. I'm not seeing the wisdom in her decision either.
And then we'll bring it up and we can discuss it then.
But you didn't bring it up when we got home. I brought it up because I had this weird woman's intuition and I was like, why did you ask me to do that? So not only was she there, you didn't even tell me, which was so muggy.
Yeah, they're both of them, for me, are just feeling very immature now. Initially, they had both felt very on the same page, and now it feels like they're young kids arguing about, you know, silliness in a sense. Like I even expected more out of Barda in a sense, but maybe not. In terms of maturity, obviously. I just don't see, like, there's no way I do what Barda did, and then my person's like, can you turn your ring around at the gym? Or, you know, I just wouldn't, absolutely not. But then I can see why she would end up doing that, because she probably thought, I mean, she did think it was weird. So, okay, maybe that's okay. But see, why is she wearing the ring? Like, why did Barda's brain think it would make sense to keep wearing the ring for Jed? Like, how is that helpful? I don't get it. I don't understand.
If my ex was in this room, I'd make sure you knew. Because you're my priority, not my ex.
I believe that. That should have happened. Yeah. Oh, look, shout out to season 1.
And you made me feel even more muggy because I'm the idiot that decided to keep wearing that ring.
Yeah. I can see her gesture from that perspective, saying like, I was going to wear the ring to show you, but I'm kind of disappointed with how immature and unwise this whole thing is. But also, I mean, it is what it is.
So was this the point where it was just like, that's it?
Yeah, this communication style, obviously you can't make harmony with this.
It was about 2 days later when I actually decided to remove it. And we'd gone out for dinner with some of the pod people. And he noticed that I didn't have it on. And
so she didn't tell him. So she took it off, didn't tell him, and then he had to notice in the moment, which would have been hurtful emotionally. See, this is too passive aggressive for me. Like you're not working as a team. You're doing it and then seeing his reaction.
In that moment, you just kind of changed completely.
A matter of you taking off your ring. There was no communication there.
Because you didn't want to go outside and talk when I asked you to.
Because the ring was already off. And you said to me it fell
Because you
off.
asked me to take it off.
No, but you said to me it fell off in the shower.
It did. So I just didn't put it back on.
Oh, bullshit on that. Whatever this is, I don't like that. I don't like something is wrong here.
It's fair enough, but communicate.
I tried to. You refused.
No, but before, you got my number. We were living together.
You're at work.
I don't know. I don't like Barda's answers. I don't know. I do expect maybe I expected her to be a little bit more introspective, which is also unfair because there's no reason to think she would be. At the same time, I don't know. I don't know why I expected more out of Barda.
It wasn't that big of a deal, but apparently it was
taking
you.
the ring off?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how long did you date for?
What was that? That was so mean. She was like, I guess it wasn't that big of a deal. He's like, to take your ring off? And she goes, yeah, I don't know. I know that he's probably confusing her and she doesn't feel like he's communicating well, but, you know.
It was about 3 weeks in total from the wedding.
Where did you go?
I went to Dubai.
Oh, apparently I was wondering about like Dubai and like, it's so weird for Americans to go to Dubai casually, but somebody left a comment on one of my videos. I'm recording this right now, but I've already started posting for Love is Blind on YouTube. So I saw a comment. It said, Scotland-based person here. It's a lot more normal for British folk to travel and live in Dubai than it is in the USA. So it's actually pretty normal for, I guess, people in this region to go to Dubai. So I didn't know that. So thank you for that, guys.
I've been there ever since.
Have you guys spoken since?
No.
Until today?
No.
Okay, well, she's in Dubai and they haven't spoken. Interesting.
And you had to sign again. Would you still pick Barda?
Yeah, I would still pick Barda. We connected over a lot of things that mean a lot to me. So family being one of them.
They did seem so compatible. They really did.
Is there any way back for you two?
No.
No. You can't. This isn't it. They're like 45% compatible based off of the edit. And that's not enough to make a marriage.
Right, shall we get some advice from two very much loved cast members from season 1? It's
Oh my
Demi
God.
and Freddie. Freddie was such a hit on season 1.
Oh, Demi's so cute. Oh, I loved her in season 1.
I mean, you both chose to walk away at the altar, right? So you know how much of a hard decision that is. Have you got any advice or words of wisdom for Jed and Barda?
Listen, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
Stay true to yourself, and yeah, it'll happen. You know, you'll meet the right person.
I think you have to honour your decision first of all. You have to give yourself time to heal and be around your support systems, but love yourself and the right person will come at the right time.
Oh, I really liked them both in season 1, and I'm proud of both of them for saying no and walking away because it was right for them.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best. I've got nothing bad to say about her.
Yeah, I wish you all the best far away from me.
Not cute, Barda. It's like not cute. I don't like it. It's so petty. It's so silly. It's so immature. I don't know why she can you tell he's obviously trying to take the higher road? So join him in the higher road. Or why you know what I mean? You're the one who left him at the altar. I don't get it. Like, am I missing something? She's like trying to paint him as this like big and evil guy, but like I'm not getting enough for that. I'm just getting like, you know what I mean? I'm not getting enough. So I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, so from everyone, a massive congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a bit of a crazy year. Obviously, 2 years now since actually getting married. You know, I never knew that I could love her even more. But I've just got so much more of an appreciation for her, just the way that she's handled the pregnancy. I think if anyone was made to be a mother, I really think it's Jasmine, you know.
Yeah.
She's,
I'm so grateful, honestly. I will say as well, even if you don't find the person that's meant to be for you, look at the silver lining. You'll learn what is meant for you.
Yeah.
True. That's why I tell you so much about how my relationships went wrong in my 20s, because I want you to understand that led me to knowing myself more, to figure out who I needed in my 30s. And I obviously dated in high school too, but that's just so much further away from anyone's. That's so far away. At this point, it's 20 years ago. When I dated in my 20s, which I guess now are like 12 and 10 and 8 years ago, so it's a very long time ago too. But still, like, you learn so much from when things don't go right.
Carl and Benai, last year you told us that you were looking forward to travelling the world together.
Woo,
So
woo.
where have you been?
Been all over Europe, been to Africa, been to the Middle East.
If you guys remember, they were the couple who she initially chose somebody else and then she regretted that decision and then chose him. And so they've been together, which is nice to see. They were both like very interesting together.
Guys, are you still together?
Unfortunately, sadly to say, we're not together.
Our wedding day was the best day of my life, and him saying yes to me at that altar was all the reassurance I needed. But you did not reassure me when we left the experiment. It was as if we went into date mode rather than marriage mode.
Oh.
You did communicate your fears hard and strong, and I take that. I knew what I was going into. I'm accountable for marrying this man. There's two human beings in this marriage, but I went into this experiment with an open, vulnerable heart, and to be so brave and find someone that would take care of me. And Billy promised that and under-delivered.
He did. I think he overpromised by saying yes to her at the altar. altar. And he should know better since he's been married before. But see how being married before, so we just talked about learning from your mistakes, he didn't learn from his. And that's the problem. And that's like why introspection is so important, why extrospection is so important, why your values are so important. You build your foundation of morals and ethics on your values. And if you value honesty and transparency and honesty, then you also have to value saying, no in situations like this. But the dilemma is you're also guilted for leaving people at the altar as well. It's like you can't win either way on these shows. You either say yes at the altar and then get divorced later, or you say no and you're the bad guy who broke up the marriage before. That's the problem with these experiments is you have to let people consent in or out of a relationship without punishing them for it. Obviously with Cal and Sarover, there are better ways to do things, but you don't want to be in this situation where two of the couples got married. Wait, so technically I was correct, sort of. I said that Billy and Ashley would say no at the altar, but they said yes, but they got divorced. So that's kind of like a half correct answer. But then Sarover and Cal, I thought they were going to say yes, and then they got divorced, which is horrible. I didn't really see that coming. So, it's devastating, is what I'm trying to say.
Transitioning into reality, that's why I struggle with the most, because I knew it was going to be a struggle. And as time went by, I just felt myself disconnected.
Oh, I told you he looked disassociated during the wedding. So now he's saying I just felt myself disconnected. I literally thought he was disconnecting. And I think Ashley's too much of a, it will be okay. She's too much sunshine and roses. She's not realistic. She's not a realist. I can just tell by the way she is. She's too optimistic. And yet you could argue that she's somewhat of a realist because she went to Katisha and said, are you sure about marrying this man? But funny that she didn't take her own advice. Are you sure you're marrying, like, are you saying yes to a man who's unsure? Oh, now this is so much more interesting thinking back at the way she went for Katisha in a supportive way to say, like, are you sure about this man? Oh, but she didn't do it for herself. Oh, that's sad. It always is that way, huh? We can always help people better than we can help ourselves sometimes.
And it was breaking my heart because I truly fell for her. And I've never broke up with someone where I was so heartbroken.
We had love for each other. I was ready to be a military wife.
Wait, she said she was ready to be a military wife? Doesn't that mean quitting her job and following him around for his job? Or does that mean something else here?
And I think you were really proud of me doing that job, yeah. So that little fear he had, squash it.
The job was an issue. We also saw, from a different angle, that even food shopping was difficult.
I want you to pay attention to exactly this when dating. If you're in a relationship where one person is saying, this is how I am, you cannot expect them to change. I need you to really believe people when they tell you who they are. And then you need to be honest about whether or not that works in your life. Because our tendency to overpromise is because we feel shame instead of making a safe space for someone to say, I'm like this and I'm not going to change. I can adapt, but that doesn't mean I have to change. Guys, adaptation is not always a change in a hardcore personality. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to change some things about myself, but I cannot change my fundamental personality in a big way. So I know myself. Like I know I'm always going to be a loud, giggly, obnoxious kind of person to an extent. I mean, I will mask hard enough, or I will in certain situations try not to be. But when I'm like really free and loud and just, I'm not going to all of a sudden be like, hi guys, how are you? Welcome to my channel. Like I'm not going to all of a sudden change my personality. So you have to understand that if you're marrying me thinking one day I'll be like a submissive housewife, you're fucking crazy, right? So it's in some ways it feels like Ashley had that for him, that one day he would wake up and not be this guy. And especially as like a neurodivergent autistic girly, it's so obvious to me that we live in a world where people are always expecting you to change. I mean, I even did this to my partners in my 20s where I lived for their potential, where they would promise to me that they would change and get better. And I would like live for that potential instead of recognizing like, oh no, they're not going to change. So again, I feel like Billy was open and honest, and I feel like Ashley refused to accept him for who he was, and that also contributed to their relationship, which she did take ownership of and accountability for marrying him. But at the end of the day, Ashley also put her blinders on and refused to see who she was marrying. So I'd hardly say that either of them deceived one another. I would say both of them fell into the people-pleasing bubble where they both kind of overpromised to one another.
And I think we were adapting well in some elements. And I love cake, I love Guinness. It's everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Like I said, throughout the experiment, I would drop everything for a date night. What does she like, what I like, I would try to adapt. And I felt that was something we actually were able to iron out.
Right.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, like I said in the previous edits, my partner and I are two different people. We have different interests in food, different sleep schedules, different ways we act. We don't make the other do the other person's thing. We just kind of do things side by side in a way that really feels good to us. So yeah, I mean, everyone's different, but I think I'm just so grateful that I married somebody who doesn't force me to be somebody that I'm not.
Christmas happened, New Year's, where my friends and family were like, he's cold. He's not in this. His body language is icy. You then had a conversation with me on the 1st of January.
I would say that his body language is more disassociated than icy. He also feels very monotone and maybe even autistic to me in a sense, like unsure in a sense, or like trying to get uncomfortable. He feels very uncomfortable. If I married somebody like Billy, I would know not to pressure him. But Ashley's she pressures him, whether it's understood or not. When you're a regimented person, when you have routine, any suggestion of moving out of that routine is like pressure. And that's why I think I'm being so like sympathetic to Billy. He just feels like if he was autistic, this would be deeply cruel. And he might be, honestly, right? Like, it's like, what, have you ever watched like Love on the Spectrum, which I understand can be controversial for people, but Kaylin, she, you know which one, the one who labels everything in the house and every drawer has a place and everything has a label. It's like going to her and being like, no, you can't do this because it's weird and I don't want stickers on the doors. Like, you can't ask her to change. That's rude. And also, she's happy with this. It's like that, but Billy. It's like you're going to somebody who is like, this is their like happiness and joy and this is how they make their life better. And you're like, no. That's how it felt sometimes with Ashley.
This conversation was gut-wrenching. The way you described you were feeling about me, about this marriage, given it been less than 3 months, you had these feelings. Now? 3 months, really? Is that giving a marriage a go? Particularly on your second marriage.
See? She's like, I can't believe you feel this 3 months in. Like, this is you giving it a chance. This is the problem. She's in that settling bubble where like you give marriage a chance. You shouldn't give marriage a chance. You should be fully ready when you get married. You shouldn't be leaping into marriage hoping it will work. You should be ready you should have known it works already. So why not get married?
You think that I'm worth just 3 months of it?
I'm gutted. Do you really think I want to get divorced again?
Yeah, I don't like Ashley's perspective on life. I just philosophically am so fundamentally opposed to her belief systems. But I also am disappointed that Billy overpromised to her and got married to her.
I just wish he said no.
Yeah, same.
I wish he was braver. I wish he was in touch with his emotions. Let me finish.
Oh, by the time you've done some talking.
And
talking all night.
You can't even take sides. You know, everyone's just so fucked up. It's just fucked up. And we're all too old to be this fucked up. Come on, girls, let's go to therapy. Let's get our shit together. Let's get philosophically in line with our values. Let's fucking go. At what point are we all going to grow up, you know?
You were unsure throughout the experiment, weren't you, Billy? Why do you think you did say yes on the day with so much uncertainty?
Because I even said...
I just disagree fundamentally with the idea that she's not responsible for saying yes to a man who was 50-50 on her wedding day. Girl, he didn't lie to you any more than you lied to yourself. And that's the problem. See how easily we lie to ourselves? You got into a dress and let your dad walk you down an aisle for a man who was 50-50 in? Girl.
I even said it on the day. I went there to find love. And if I'm split down the middle,
yeah,
I'm going to take a chance on love every single time.
I just don't know why we're going for Billy so hard. You know what I'm saying? It might sound like I'm protecting him against Ashley and I'm going too hard on her, but I don't like how hard the narrative is that he is this evil man, when at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like, they both equally overpromised.
I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to find my forever after, and I'm still going to search for it. It just so happens, and I'm so sorry for this, because I didn't want to divorce again. And I am truly sorry, because I'm not the man I promised you. I genuinely mean that. I'm sorry.
It's not nice having a strong connection on day one and having so much common ground with the fact that we were at an age where we wanted to start a family. We had great family morals and our jobs aligned, surprisingly.
But they don't.
He has to be deployed for 3 months. I don't see me complaining about that.
Okay, the edit made them seem so much more compatible in a sense, but also, like, what is this? So he was going to be deployed anyways. He wanted, but to be a military wife is to put your career... Okay, in America, to be a military wife means you do not have a career. It means your life is centered around his life, right? That's what a military wife is, more than just marrying a guy in the military. From my understanding, at least, when I think of, like, can I be a military wife? I think, like, can I prioritize your career in a sense? Like, not that I can't have a career, but that my career would have to move around your career. But she's making it sound like I'm ready to be a military wife, but also I'm not complaining about his job. But that doesn't matter, because, like, he doesn't like yours, and that's what you should have gone off of. Yeah, I don't understand how they made this mistake of pairing themselves up together. Why do they keep saying they're compatible, but they're not? See, okay, pause. That's what the issue is. You can't say in one breath, we're so compatible, and then in another breath, name all the ways you're not compatible. You're either compatible or you're not. This is not compatibility.
You had an issue with me doing my amazing career, and I do not deserve someone who's going to use my strengths against me and not be proud of me in any of this.
I was proud of you. I loved your job. But all right, we can make all these noises we want, but when it comes to compromise...
You didn't compromise at all in this marriage, Billy.
Yeah, of course I did. You weren't willing to meet me halfway. Why can't we live in the Midlands where it works for both of us?
Oh, I hate this. I don't know. I think this world is so weird, this bubble. It feels like they're all conservative, but they're not. It feels like they're liberals. Is everybody here liberal? Is that the problem? These aren't progressive values, but these also aren't like super hardcore conservative values. Maybe they're just liberals, and that's why they're also like confused, where there's like some sort of like call to the patriarchy and also call to not the patriarchy. And like there's like a lack of organization in their belief systems and structures. Like, I don't know what any of these people really believe. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what their actual values are.
When it ended, bearing in mind I drove to your house 2.5 hours away, halfway.
No, that's not fair. I said I would drive all the way to you. And you said, no, we're not doing it at the house. I was compromising, funny enough.
What, in a petrol gouge at McDonald's talking about our marriage?
Yeah, it's. I can't get on board here. I can't be like, oh my God, snap. I just don't feel that way right now.
We've had discussions.
This was a breakup. Of course it was hard, Billy. I cried, I was angry.
You also didn't. It's not the first time you ever seen it. You know, we talked about this coming. You pulled away as well. I know I'd done it first. Because you felt it from me. I know I initiated it.
Just take accountability for once.
Shall we all have a breath? Billy, you're saying that this is something that you had...
Constantly communicated about.
In the actual edit, he was communicating a lot and she kept ignoring it. He explained time and time again that he was worried and he was afraid, and she would just keep saying, we'll make it work, we'll make it work. But that's not actually seeing your partner. That's actually not very helpful. That's actually not what compromise looks like. So I think she was actually struggling to see him, and because she just wanted it to work so badly, she kept ignoring and bulldozing his feelings.
Ashley, before.
Not the feelings, not what you said to me.
Always the feelings.
Absolutely not. So what,
We'll
those
agree
words...
to disagree then, because I know what we were talking about. I was there too, you know. You can spin the story all you want, but I was there too.
I'm not spinning it, I'm speaking the truth.
Yeah, your truth.
I mean, Billy, your marriage didn't work out, but you seem to make a firm friend with Cal. Did you confide in him before ending your marriage?
Friends from the outside, they're not going to understand. So he was my first point of contact, and I appreciated having him, to be honest.
I think you benefited each other quite well, actually. I'm glad you had each other.
And likewise, yourself and Ashley. I'm glad you had each other.
Is that sarcasm? Is she being rude, or is she being excited for them? It's hard, guys. I know, like, look, we're all about deconstructing gender here. We're all about deconstructing norms. But to be honest with you, the ladies are not doing a fair show of showing me they're introspective and thoughtful. I mean, not Sarover, but Ashley. I'm really struggling to understand her perspective, given all the evidence, given all the times Billy was upfront with her, how she didn't see this coming, and why she would say yes to this man, right? And I know she's saying she's holding herself accountable, but she's not really, right? They are trying to spin it a little bit like he's this bad guy, but I don't see it. Unlike with Cal, who I think obviously did Sarover so dirty, you know, because he didn't tell her up front. He kept it from her. He made the decision on his own. He didn't consult her. It sounds like Billy and Ashley were consulting each other through the process. So I don't appreciate, I guess, the way that this is edited. I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. But I will say that it's interesting that those two men bonded out of all the men.
Sorry, so the relationships kind of ended at around the same time, right?
And there was a very similar script of messages delivered to us both.
Yeah, after they'd both just been together, not even a week.
What are you going to tell me? They're married now? Okay. Yeah, everyone's too immature to be married in this bubble. But that, okay, begs the question, is going on Love is Blind a sign of immaturity? Because, like, why are you getting married this way? It's so irresponsible. But then it does work out for some of the couples, which we've seen. So then maybe it's just like every other dating opportunity. Maybe it's just as valid of an experience like going on dating apps or meeting somebody through your family. Maybe at the end of the day, we need to be more introspective about our own values and what we want and who we are, so we actually do choose the right partners. Because I think ultimately, I don't know how many of these couples had truly eye-opening conversations before making this decision, or how many of them felt pressured to go through the experience. But I'll just say, like, based off the edit, I don't appreciate the way anybody's handling the conversation between Billy and Ashley. I just don't trust them as narrators. But then what do we know? We're just on the outside, right?
I confided in Sarover saying, you won't believe what's happened to me. Oh, what was the word you used? The exact same, very similar, like loss of connection, feeling that things were forced.
But that's so basic. That's what everybody says. To insinuate that the boys were confiding in one another to create a script, as if we don't do that with our girlfriends or our they-them friends or anybody else. Like, that's what's normal in a breakup. You say, we lost connection. There was no spark. I'm not connecting. I don't feel good. Like, they're being so conspiracy. Like, they're being a little too paranoid for me. So I need to see receipts or evidence that the boys were literally conspiring versus the boys were just leaning on each other for help. You know what I mean? Even if they got ChatGPT to write the script, that's okay. Some people are going to do that. You have to make a decision. Do you want to be married to that person or not? Some people need help. Some people don't. The idea is like, there's like too much immaturity from the girls' end for me to trust them as narrators, I think.
I mean, I'm not here to tell an unwritten story, but I just wonder, there was a conversation that happened between both males where they sort of egged each other on.
It's the coincidence of it.
It's a coincidence. Coincidence happen in life.
And you're both so similar.
Yeah, but like if the boys egged each other on to divorce, the girls egged each other on to get married, right? It doesn't matter. It just feels really immature.
The way you're talking, they're both so similar, how coldly you both ended it. It's just not normal.
I don't think it's...
Do you not admit to me? It's very odd, the timing for you both.
It's an unfortunate coincidence, but you've concocted a story between. There's absolutely zero truth in it.
How can we even trust you both?
You don't need to
you
trust
never
us
let us
overnight.
have a chance. We didn't trust you before.
Yeah, you don't have to trust them now. You're not dating. Don't make me agree with men. Do you see what you're doing to me? You're making me agree with the narrative because you're being weird. Even if there was some kind of conspiracy between the boys, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with the boys leaning on each other to break up with girls they know they don't want to be married to? Like, what's the conspiracy there? That two friends leaned on each other for support?
Why do you need to trust us? You've obviously made up some story between you because it fits the narrative. He's his own man, I'm my own man. No one tells me what to do. You said that before, I'm stubborn. Do you think I'm going to listen to him?
Girls,
Go on, Billy.
can I just say, I'm a staff sergeant in the army. I'm 36 years old now. I think I was able to make decisions before Cal came on the scene, like, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, I still am.
Well, you made the wrong decision marrying me.
Well,
you made the wrong decision saying yes to him. And here we are. Do you know what I'm saying? Listen, the greatest thing I ever did to myself was take responsibility for choosing the people I dated, so I could learn to not choose them again. I want to empower you to remind yourself you have control in who you marry. Yes, you don't have control in who lies and deceives you, but you have control if you deceive yourself. And let's be real, unless the relationship is, just like the craziest, most Machiavellian 4D chess player in the world, most of the time, there are signs, there is evidence, and if we are willing to see it, we're able to say, no, you're not my person, right? And I know that's hard to say because it depends on how you go into relationships. It all comes down to your philosophical outlook. What do relationships mean to you? Why are you engaging with them? And why are they so important? And what do you need as a requirement before saying yes to this relationship? I just feel like it's a little philosophically dishonest for the girls to act like they're, just victims in this scenario. Sarover, I understand her situation is a little different than Ashley's, but Ashley in particular, like, you're not a victim in this situation. You guys just had an unfortunate experiment that didn't go the way you wanted. And you said yes to a man who wasn't sure if he wanted to marry you on the day of your wedding, girl. What are we talking about here? I just don't get it. You guys have to correct me in the chat if you think I'm wrong, but I don't get it.
Tell me why you married me.
Because I loved you in that moment. Hindsight is a funny thing. If I knew what I know now, I would have said no on the day. But I took a leap of faith and love because that's why we're here. I wanted to find my person forever.
And that's what most people do, and that's why most of you are divorced. You shouldn't take a leap in love. You shouldn't go in when you doubt. You should be 100% sure, and you shouldn't punish somebody for saying no. Because again, we're punishing the people who said no at the altar, and we're punishing the people who said yes. It's like, people just want to punish each other. That's what it feels like.
In your vows, you thanked him for restoring your faith in love.
Yeah, there was absolutely a fantasy. She knew better. I said that in the original edit. I think I put it in. She put way too much emphasis on him restoring her view. Guys, we can't rely on anyone to restore our faith in humanity. You have to restore your faith in humanity through philosophy. You're understanding that you aren't just a person on the planet. If you look for other people to restore your faith in humanity, you're not doing the due diligence of accepting that you also are a person. Restore your faith in humanity with yourself. You know you're a good person, so you know other people are good people. Restore your faith in people when it comes to relationships, knowing that you treat people good in relationships, so why wouldn't you meet other people who do? Restore your faith in humanity using yourself. Because if you relate, you wait for other people to do it and you're in a bad environment, you might wait 1,000 years. The point is that you are also a person. You can use yourself as good data.
Do you still have faith in love?
I still have faith in love, but not from this man.
Girl.
Good, I'm glad.
I have faith in love.
He's so petty. They're all so petty.
And being brave every single day of that experiment and exposing myself.
What is brave about saying yes to a man at an altar who was 50-50 about you, girl? Explain it to me. Because it's the same amount of bravery he had that day. So You could twist the narrative and be like, Billy was so brave. He wasn't sure, but he said yes, and he trusted the experiment, and it didn't work out, but he was so brave for trying. It's the same story. How is he the bad guy in a story that is literally the same as your story? That is your story. I knew he was 50-50. I knew he doubted it, but I said yes to him in hopes that it would work. You have the same story, girly.
Do you still stand by your decision to pick Javen over Demola?
If I didn't have a connection with Javen, then I wouldn't have chosen. There's nothing wrong with Demola. Obviously, I've said that.
So basically, they're asking Katisha if she regrets picking Javen over Damala. Obviously, she doesn't. She's explaining the same thing we heard 100 times throughout the show. She feels like, obviously, she feels exhausted. I feel exhausted. Like, I don't know why we're not paying attention to the fact that, like, regardless of why she actually chose whoever she chose, right? The underlining actual psychological reasons, she made her choice and everyone needs to relax.
How do you think it would have played out if it had have been you and Katisha?
I was feeling strongly about Katisha, so that wouldn't have changed. It's unfortunate that she had two strong connections and she went with her gut. And I respect her decision.
Yeah, it's weird, the idea that they think it would have mattered. I don't think it would have mattered if she chose Damala. I think there still would have been a breakup at the end.
There has been an outpouring of love for you online. I hear that you've even had marriage proposals. Have you said yes to any?
No, I've not said yes to none.
The edit did him well. Like, I can see why people really like him online.
I was just speaking from the heart and I was just being myself.
There's been a lot of chat online about you playing games. Were you genuinely in this experiment for marriage?
100%. I was definitely here for the right reasons and I wanted to put my best foot forward. And, I really enjoyed my time with Katisha and, she's a beautiful person. She looks beautiful. She's a very strong person.
She's so autistic, bro. Biting the inside of her lip or her cheek, I'm telling you, she might be a spectrum queen.
Things didn't go well in that period. I still value her as a person, and there's never a day that she can't text me or call me. I will talk to her. I'll always be there to be
Are they
someone to lean on
talking?
if she ever wanted
Are they in communication?
to. She may never want to, but.
Katisha, how do you feel like hearing what Javen is saying now?
I just feel like sometimes it would have been nice to hear those things face to face.
Sure.
More of that, like more vulnerability would have been really nice. Like, I felt very confused the entire time.
I think for the right person, I'm an open book, sometimes too open, sometimes too honest. That's what gets me in a lot of trouble, so, yeah.
Well, one of those moments where you were quite honest was at the mixer when you spoke to Kieran and you said that you did have doubts about whether you were in love.
Whereas I was thinking from the perspective of, what if I believe that I could potentially fall in love with that person, is that still strong enough for me to say yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people fall into this bubble where they think, this perspective where they think, well, if I could potentially say yes, then I should pursue this person. And that's what I used to think in my 20s, that I was dating for potential. But now in my 30s, I didn't want to date for potential. It was either like I would basically say yes. Like, this person is so strongly compatible with me that I would almost say yes now, but I need to wait, because I knew a few weeks into dating my person that, like, oh my God, I think this is it. But I needed the full 6 months to be sure. But I did say to them, I was like, okay, I think you're my person. Let's see. Hold on, girl. I'm getting a message. Hold on. What is this? Who is texting me? This is why I do talk about my relationship so much, because I want you to understand there is a significant difference between dating for potential and actually realizing, like, okay, I think I found it. We just need to, like, work out the kinks. And the dilemma is realizing the difference. And I think that's what Javen is trying to say right now. He's trying to say, like, honestly, it was all about potential. And even him and Katisha, I don't think they said I love you to each other at any point, right? Did I miss that? Did they even eventually even get to the point where they said I love you? So what are we talking about here? Like, what are we even talking about here, right?
At that particular point, I was pretty open that I wouldn't have said yes.
You were both quite vocal in the fact that you felt like you communicated in totally different ways, and that seemed to be a struggle for the relationship. I think another kind of struggle for the relationship were other conversations that happened on the night of the mixer.
You dating now?
Absolutely not.
Throw back to when Sophie and him were being completely inappropriate at the mixer.
Do you want me to go and date everyone? Like, what do you want from me?
Nothing.
Bullshit, bro. I hate this. This is so ugly of them both. So immature and very inappropriate.
Katisha, how did you feel when you saw that?
Obviously, very hard. Nobody wants to see that. I can't really talk about it. I don't have words right now, sorry.
Anyone that knows me here, I'm a jokey guy.
He's doing it right now. He's so disrespectful. I know it might be a nervous tick for him to be laughing and smiling this much, but he's so disrespectful. There's no empathy. There's no meeting her and her emotions. There's like no awareness of how hurtful this is. Sophie better have a better answer. Like, there's just nothing. He's not even, right now, it's very inappropriate to smile and to look funny and to be like, I'm a jokey guy. What?
Like, I'm going to have a laugh with anybody. It don't matter, however.
Was that a laugh or was that flirting?
May consider it flirting.
Hey, you call that naughty?
Exactly.
It's naughty, yeah, because
You asked
she
where
needs
she
to stop.
lived.
I said she needs to stop. So, as I was saying, of course, like, it was disrespectful, and I can accept that. I can take accountability for that.
You can't take accountability because of the way you just opened up the sentence. Maybe it's Netflix. Maybe they edited him out of sequence, which I know a lot of people say they do. But just like the way he opened up that conversation was so inappropriate.
I should have just stopped talking to her completely when she started making those kind of jokes, when she started making those kind of references, yes.
Sophie. And now he's putting the onus on Sophie and kind of like blaming her like she started it. Maybe she did.
It's here. Let's get your take on it. Did it feel like flirting to you? In reflection, I'm sorry to Katisha, like that was wrong from me. I was fresh from the experiment. I've just met these people that we've been dating. There was a lot of banter between us. Like you can see we're laughing. It looks very, very flirty, but it was very jokey.
Sophie, please, what happened in this photo booth?
Nothing happened. We were actually having a disagreement. We were actually arguing.
Right.
I obviously left the experiment early, and he was just saying from everything that we spoke about on our dates, I didn't think that would be you. And it was embarrassing. Like there was people watching us shout at each other, flirting in a photo booth. Yeah. Quite the opposite. It was an argument in the photo booth.
Wait, about what? I don't get it. I don't understand that whole thing. She's not making me feel reassured.
Yourself in my situation when me and Javin are engaged and you're standing at a bar flirting with him. Like you're saying, oh, we're all dating, but me and Javin, we're not dating.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's what I'm saying. I have also done the same experiment as you guys, and I came out of a situation, it was very overwhelming. We were having a joke. I understand it looks very flirty. Looking back in hindsight, I didn't want to be involved in it. It's not my drama to have that conversation.
What is arguing though? Why were you even arguing? Like that's what's so funny. Why were you close enough to argue in that sense? Not that you can't argue with a stranger, but it's weirdly intimate to argue.
The first thing I want to say is I want to apologise. I apologised privately already, but I want to apologise publicly. I apologise to you. I apologise to you about even going out that night. You don't remember me apologising?
Can I just quickly say I'm really sorry, Sophie, because I do understand I went a bit off there. You were not engaged to me, Javin was, so.
She just apologized to Sophie, just saying like, I shouldn't have gone off on you. I wasn't engaged to you. But from a girl's perspective, like, what are you doing, Sophie?
I was doing something. And that's the only reason me and Megan had a disagreement. It was more the way that it was communicated.
So now Javin is just saying like, he's upset with the way that Megan made me sound and it wasn't what was happening. But I still think from Megan and Kieran's perspective, it's really reasonable to think like some tomfoolery is going on because it was just so silly. Like, what was the excuse of going into the photo booth together? I still don't understand. Even if you were arguing, why were you arguing to the point where you needed privacy to argue? And what were you arguing about?
So Javin has kind of said a couple of things there, and that was, you know, I hold my hands up. And Katisha, can you accept the apology?
Sure.
We've hopefully got a slight bit of clarity. The one thing we do need clarity on is the photo booth. There was lots of discussion about whether there was a curtain, whether there wasn't a curtain. Would you like to have a look at the photo booth?
Yes, I want to see a girl. Show it to me.
Who thought that was a curtain?
I'll be honest, I was the only one that said there was a curtain. It was a very dark club. I'm not sure why this bloody matters.
Oh, it kind of matters because it insinuates like a level of privacy where people couldn't see into the photo booth, which insinuates they were trying to hide what they were doing. So it kind of does matter. Oh. Does it say gay? Okay, so there's no curtain. It's really big. You can see what's happening inside there. I still don't see why they needed to go into the photo booth, but there's obviously no curtain, which is good. That's good.
There is no curtain.
Javin? I'm not even angry. I was never angry that Megan brought it up to Katisha. It was just the way that she worded it. That was the only thing I was ever upset about Megan.
I think the dilemma I understand, like, I'm a little flirty gay girl. Like, I get it. I flirt with everyone. That's actually gotten me into hot water before, where you're flirting with somebody as a play, like a joke, but they don't know it's a joke, and then it gets like misconstrued. So I have learned to only flirt with people who know it's not real, because I'm like in a monogamous married relationship. But like if I'm on stream with friends and we're all joking and I'm like, oh my God, stop. Like I'm married. Like obviously just people outside, they'd be like, oh my God, you're literally flirting with somebody and you're married. So, you know, flirting can be a casual pastime, or it literally is so disrespectful. So it's very specific to the relationship you're in. I mean, obviously, we live in a world where people are monogamish. We live in a world where people swing. We live in a world where people are open. Obviously, no one size fits all for relationships. But given the context and everything happening, it's just a disappointment to see Sophie and Javin so neglectful about Katisha's feelings and the way that it looks. Like, it's disrespectful.
But it was the insinuation that you was with them all night. That's what you said.
To be fair, I think when you don't know yourself, and even when you think you do, you hear information from other people and you double down on it and get into the moment instead of saying like, okay, let's get all the facts. And I do think it would do us all a good service. It would all do us a great service to say, hold on, let me get all the facts. Because like I said in the original edit, when I covered this whole thing, if somebody came to me and said, hey, Brittany, your partner's so-and-so, I'd be like, let's sit down and get the facts. Now, I'll tell you this. In my 20s, fun fact, somebody did come to me and said, hey, I think your partner's cheating on you. And I said and I was like really defensive and obnoxiously rude to this person because I was like, just because you had somebody cheat on you does not mean my partner's cheating on me. I know my partner's on a date with somebody right now because I did poly for 10 years. And I was like, I know he's on a date with somebody. But that same partner did end up cheating on me later. They weren't cheating then. But I think what was interesting is how defensive I got. Instead of saying, okay, let me look at the facts. I'm not immune to being cheated on. Let me see if that's true. And years later, when he did cheat on me, it was, really blindsided. I was just so blindsided. I just didn't see it coming, though hindsight is 2020. Now that I look back at our relationship, it was pretty clear to me he was going to cheat, but I couldn't tell in the moment. So it's not to say that you can't be deceived, but I do find for myself, and this is what I want to empower people to realize, is eventually you can tell the character of a person and know that this person is more likely going to cheat on you than other people because of the way they treat you, because of the way they disrespect you in public, because of the way they talk about other people. It was pretty obvious to me that there was just a level of a certain kind of disrespect or sexism or patriarchy moving into this particular bubble here in Love is Blind UK. And I brought it up throughout the edits. A lot of these guys, you should ask them if they watch Andrew Tate. And I wasn't just saying that for funsies. I mean, I'm serious. Ask them, who do they watch? Who do you like on the internet? What's your opinion, people? Can you tell if someone has a good character or a bad character? And look, I've been blindsided. Now, every time I meet somebody who I want to believe is a good person and they prove me wrong, that's okay. That's just something you discover. I will use it to be more wise and engaging with people in the future. So it's not like I'm going to be perfect at always sniffing it out. But the truth is I am getting better at it. And I want you to get better at it too. I am getting much better and I know I am because I've utilized the skill time and time again. We're no, you're not my person. Going on one date with someone and being like, you're not my person. And people being like, that's crazy. But I eventually got good enough to be like, you're not it. And it's not about being perfect. It's just about getting better. You know what I mean? So maybe if Megan had come to Katisha and just said, hey girl, I don't know what's up. You might want to ask. But Katisha listened to Megan, went straight home and started packing. And then Javin had to walk in on her and be like, what are you doing? So you know what I'm trying to say? Do you know what I'm trying to communicate? Let me know, because I can make a whole podcast about this, because it's a very interesting topic to me. Without victim blaming, can we eventually get better at sniffing out bad characters? I think so.
Yeah, I appreciate you telling me you're being a girl's girl. You're just like, hey, this is not on.
Yeah.
I mean, Megan, when you think about it, do you feel like you read it wrong, or do you stand by what you said?
I stand by what I said 100%. What I said is what I said. It's what I saw. I don't change anything.
It's hard for Megan to change what she said because it is what it looked like. She might have been wrong with what she looked like, but the responsibility at the end of the day is on Katisha to know how to handle this situation in her relationship. And Megan could only have observed it the way her brain saw it. You can't ask Megan to have a different opinion about what she observed unless she was interested enough to talk to Javin herself and say hey, what did I see? It was what she saw and what she felt like she saw. And it is what it is, right? But obviously our memory is fickle. We see things incorrectly. We don't remember the same. They were probably drinking alcohol. There was bound to be some mistakes in the story.
Javin is warm and kind and caring, but he didn't show me enough of that.
Even if he had, you would not have been compatible. Even if he had, you wouldn't have been compatible. Even if he had, you wouldn't have been compatible.
Some of the times when I was watching it back, I was questioning, did you actually even like me?
Of course, I liked you.
Yeah, I agree. Watching it, I did wonder if he even liked her. I think she's too nerdy for him. I said this in the original watch. I'm saying it now. I just think he thought she was too nerdy for him. She gives neurodivergent. He does not. She gives girl who read books in the library. He gives football player. You know what I mean?
I really enjoyed being with you. Obviously, there were difficulties. Our communication styles didn't mesh very well, but I enjoyed being with you.
You're a liar! You're a liar! You're a liar! You're a liar!
Anu was a little bit too main character for me, honestly, and I did not appreciate the way she showed up in that bar and she was really rude to Patrick. But again, it's because I expect adults to take the higher road eventually, and it's just not a lot of higher road in this season. Let me just tell you.
Your experience on Love is Blind is heavily involved with Patrick. He isn't here this evening, but do you wish you'd have kept other
Interesting. Patrick didn't show up. Honestly, probably smart because they would have torn his spleen apart.
connections open?
Yeah, looking back, I do wish that I kept other connections open. But I'll be honest though, Patrick heard me.
Yeah.
He saw me when other people didn't. And that's how we connected. We connected on culture, on faith. And I do think he's a good...
Stop! Why does she keep saying we connected on faith? How could you have connected on faith? You didn't even share the same spiritual outlook.
Yeah, I think he's very much... I think he's very intelligent. I respect his craft and what he's doing, and you know, I think it takes a lot of courage to be passionate about something that not everybody understands.
I mean, true. Okay, this is a much better version of her than the drinking bar Anu. So I appreciate the sentiment. It's a very, mature response.
I don't listen to my spleen, thank God. But I stand firm in how I acted and my behaviour. Obviously,
I don't know about is she talking about the bar scene now?
We want to be a baddie and a lady, we want to be classy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, it's good. So self-awareness, a little self-awareness about you know what I mean?
But no, I think I'm a very emotional person. I'm very expressive. I'm a singer. You're a liar. Do you got what I mean? So,
yes, I'm so glad you...
Yeah, it's funny for the meme, but do you want to be a meme? I mean, I love being turned into a meme, but also do you want to be a meme? You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something about it that's kind of, ugh.
Did it? Yeah, and he wanted me to sing, so I sang for him. Do you know what I mean? I did it in the end.
Please say things are going well.
That's so funny. We're all so stressed. We're like, please, somebody have a good ending.
I'll answer that by saying, can we take a moment to appreciate how hot my wife looks?
Talk about your little glow up.
Oh.
He does. He has a little fuckboy glow up.
Yeah, you got it. This is the wife effect.
Stand up.
Yeah,
come on. Stand up,
please. I mean, I'm still obsessed with the boy. I just think we're so lucky to be with each other every day. We just have the best time. We're just two little school kids.
We tried the whole, living on opposite sides of the city, and very, very quickly we were like, this is rubbish, let's move in together. So,
Yeah, it wasn't that far. We were like, can't do this, it's too much.
Yeah, they seem really, really happy, which is really, really nice.
Is he struggling on the old household tasks?
He just needs a little bit of encouragement. We've been thinking about a little sticker chart, actually, at the moment.
Oh, like a little gold...
Hey, he could be a neurodivergent king. If his dad is in steampunk and he's a nerd in video games, sounds neurodivergent to me.
His eyes like, I'm going to get you a star if you do the washing up.
To be fair, I'm actually sharp for that, yeah. I'll get my stuff.
Yeah, that's so ADHD coded, bro, or autism coded, maybe.
Big task of choosing between Megan and Sophie.
Dating everyone in this experiment at that point, and I think it was really important for me to let Megan know that she's my priority, but also give her that reassurance so that she ultimately could choose me.
Do you understand Kieran's decision?
Yeah, 100%. My issue was never with him picking Megan. And watching their journey back, they're the epitome of this whole experiment, right? Like, everybody wants the love story that they have. So I think it's beautiful that they found each other. Really happy for you guys, really.
Okay, that's nice.
What do you think you've gained from it?
I mean, a lot, really. I did a lot of self-development, watching myself back, and even in the past year, I go to therapy.
Yes, girl, finally someone said therapy. My girl Sophie, okay?
Everyone online keeps telling me to go to, but...
Oh, sorry. I'm definitely one of those people, too. I was like, everybody needs therapy.
You're like, I'm already there. Yeah. I'm there. I think my biggest blessing is that it's reopened a conversation with my mother.
Wow.
And we're rebuilding what we had.
Oh, Sophie, that's amazing.
Wow.
There's a lot of accountability on both parts, and there's love there, and she's my mom, and I think, sorry. I may have not found a husband, but I'm just hopeful that one day I will get the love story that you guys have.
Okay.
Well, Sophie wasn't the only potential bump in the road for this pair. Take a look at this.
If there's one thing I'm not looking for in here, it's a gamer.
Oh my God, you better call her out for being an anti-gamer.
My job is actually in the gaming world, so I'm an entrepreneur in the gaming space.
Oh, gamer.
Megan, what changed?
Well, I think it's a bit different. Kieran explained, everything he does within his job. It's very different than just, I sit there every night
Did you think
and
he would
game.
just be sat there for 12 hours a day like this?
Yeah, that's what I imagine. I just have no interest in the outside world. I just want to sit and game all day.
Yeah. To be fair, I know a lot of women who are struggling in their heterosexual relationships with their male partners, and these guys are addicted to these games. They can't get off these video games. And like I said, I did marry a gamer. He loves his video games, but he's also very, very helpful. He's in charge of all the household stuff and everything. But also I dated somebody who's had to have deconstructed their, being raised under the patriarchy as a man. I required that in this relationship because I tried to date more liberal men before, and that didn't really work out. They weren't deconstructed enough. And then I dated somebody where gender doesn't play a role in our relationship. It's not about we love our hobbies, we love our interests, and I think that's so important. But I do know the negative stereotype of gamers do exist, and I think that's really important to have that conversation. Are you going to neglect our life for video games? And you can't have that. I had that in my last relationship where my partner would just get so sucked into video games that 18 hours would go by and they wouldn't do anything all day. And it was just a horrible, horrible situation. So I understand that. And I definitely want to validate that concern. But I think the hobby gaming is just so universal. I mean, it's $1 billion business. It's so popular. There are so many different kinds of people that are interested in video games. Not all of them are inept.
It's a space that I'm incredibly passionate about. I've built my whole career on it, and I love it as a pastime. Like for me, sometimes I'd like to sit there and play a video game instead of watch Netflix, and that's
Definitely.
okay. That's what
Definitely. I love YouTube more than I like Netflix. Like, I love YouTube. Yeah, sometimes I even prefer to edit than watch Netflix. You know what I mean? I can go months without watching Netflix except for work. Like, I watch Netflix for work more than I watch it on my own. Just because, you know, like, I really like being a YouTuber. I love commentary. I love thinking about people and philosophy. Like, I really do this 12 to 13 hours a day, you know, and imagine if video games were your life, you'd be doing them for 12 hours a day. You know, I just don't think there's anything inherently wrong with spending time on something you love.
do, and that's how I decompress from a day.
Don't say that in this room.
Yeah, I don't understand this. Like, see how video games are still stigmatized? It's like anime. Oh my God, you watch anime? Like, I'm not dating a girl or a guy who watches anime. Like, no. But anime is just an art form. It's like saying, like, I wouldn't date a person who watches movies. You know what I mean? What?
You're also in a very, very different position to the other married couples here today.
Oh, damn. That was kind of shade, bro.
I mean, how is it for you hearing their news?
It's not nice hearing everyone else.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good question. How does it feel to know you're so happy and everyone else is like in a very bad position? That's a good question.
This news, I love everybody here, like, and I just wanted the best for everyone. I wanted everyone to find love. I mean, that would have been amazing if we was all sat here telling our happy stories, but I just want to send everyone my love.
And what about you two? Let's talk about the F word, not the naughty F word. The future.
Oh.
Everyone's like the F word.
I thought it was family. I thought it was like family.
We've got like a love party, which is like a renewal of our vows that we're going to do in April with a much wider family than we were able to have at the initial ceremony. We're going to travel loads.
Yeah.
We do want to start a family. We're very excited about starting a family together.
Dog first.
Dog first.
Cute.
Dog first.
Happy would be lovely.
Okay, that was it. That was the reunion. We did it. I'm not shocked at how it ended up turning out. I think it makes sense. I'm also, you know, devastated for the way that it went for some of the couples. I just, you know, I wish introspection, extrospection, and healing for everybody. I just think, you know, sometimes you can be like self-aware. Like Billy was self-aware that he was regimented, but not introspective enough to be, you know, communicative in a way that, you know, I feel like Ashley could have heard. And then Ashley was such a fixer and such a people pleaser in a sense that she really neglected, I think, herself in this choice. I think Katisha was so drowning in people pleasing and a lack of knowing herself that she just, you know, couldn't see the obvious for what it was. And I think obviously some people just got like wrapped up in the whole, you know, experiment that they neglected themselves in a way. I still don't understand Cal. I don't understand how he did that to start over. I don't understand how he did it to himself. You know, more than anything, guys, if there's anything I want you to learn from my content, is how we do a disservice to ourselves by neglecting our own feelings, our own introspection. You don't have to put people down to uplift yourself. And I think sometimes the way we're taught in the world to uplift ourselves is to push people down. And I just think this cannot be healthy for us. It can't be healthy. I know as a cope, it can feel temporarily empowering, but real empowerment comes from letting it go and moving on with your life. And so I hope that for everybody here, especially for those that are still maybe holding on to some bitterness, like let it go. It's the best form of closure you can have and move on with your life and just think of it as, you know, a time in your life you learned from. Like high school should be for all of us, this very far away and long ago thing that you think about like when you were a kid in the same way you think about when you were 5 years old. Like I have memories from being 5. Yeah, I'm not a 5-year-old anymore. You're not that high school anymore. You're not that girl in her 20s. Okay, eventually we're grown up and eventually we're going to be too old for the silliness, right? Hopefully. Okay, obviously the right kind of silliness can stay, but the wrong kind of silliness got to go. And there was a lot of just silliness and this whole thing that I just thought, man, we're too old for this. You know, to some extent, we're just too old for this. All right, with that said, thank you for watching. Please leave your future recommendations in the comment sections down below. Like, subscribe, and I will see you for the next one. Bye-bye.